folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory, and today is Sunday, January the 7th, 2018. And I have on the line the president, the CEO of Fiore Gold, Mr. Tim Worman, and he is a professional geologist with over 25 years of experience in all phases of mineral exploration, from grassroots exploration to feasibility and development. He has held board and senior leadership roles with some of the most successful exploration and development companies like Aurelian Resources, Dalradian, and Continental Gold. These are some of the most prolific gold resource companies that have ever been. And he has been quite successful over the past decade. And he, along with the teams that he's either led or been part of, he is responsible for over 30 million ounces of gold discovery. And I'm speaking of Mr. Tim Worman, President, CEO, Fiore Gold. You can find them listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol F.V, and on the over-the-counter market under the symbol FIOGF. Tim, welcome to the Daily Coin.
Thanks, Roy. Great to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. And I wanted to start with asking about the mining sector. And you are a mining CEO, and the mining sector seems to be set up for a great year in 2018. And how do you see the gold mining sector performing in 2018? Is it going to be, do you see it as being, as a whole, is it up, down, is it sideways? What are we looking at from your perspective?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think I'm pretty excited about 2018 going forward. There's a couple things. I think the mining industry as a whole has been working pretty hard to get its costs under control, to get debt under control, to really kind of focus on profitability, and not worry too much about big M&A deals and expansion and growth and all the rest. But I think they've gone about as far as they can with that, and I think you're seeing a constraint in supply. If you look at global gold production over the last couple of years, it's been pretty flat. With demand is starting to increase, particularly at places like Russia and China. And if you look at how the gold industry as a whole can respond to increased demand, it's very difficult for it to act quickly because it takes so long to find and develop and permit a project and get it into production that you can't really just turn the taps on when demand goes up. And I think as you're seeing that flatlining of gold production, I think you're going to see a lot more M&A activity this year as companies have sort of finished that house cleaning phase. I think obviously we're seeing the gold price up, and it's nice to see it up above $1,300 for more than a couple of hours at a time. Right. And I think that's going to be a continuing trend. And I think you're going to see a rising price, but it's very difficult for the industry to turn the taps on in response to that rising price and rising demand. So I think there's going to be pressure upwards on the gold price as a whole going forward this year. And I'm particularly excited for what that means for Fiore. And we're producing now out of the Pan mine. We turned that mine around successfully, and we're looking forward to that this coming year.
Very cool, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think that the 2018 and into 2019, that you mentioned M&A, the mergers and acquisitions. You mentioned that a couple of times, and I see that as being really some of the part of the bigger story for the next couple of years, because, like you said, you can't just turn a mine on and off. I mean, it takes time, and you guys like with Fiore Gold, you've already done all the legwork. You're out there doing it, and you and all the other folks that are in the basically the research and development of these the junior mines. I mean, you're doing it, and the larger mining companies, it's got to come from somewhere, and I think that you guys are the ones that are going to be feeding them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is why when we did the deal to acquire the assets that we're producing right now, Kinross Gold, one of the major mining companies, came in and took 9.9% of that financing because I think they see that that the juniors are where their future gold supply, future mine supply is going to be coming from.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. And do you see, Tim, in 2017, I'm sure you're well aware that cryptocurrencies, you couldn't shake a stick without hitting a cryptocurrency headline. And do you see a melding of the precious metals and cryptocurrencies? And do you think that we could possibly see gold and silver come back as currency by way of the blockchain or cryptocurrencies? Or how do you see these two situations coming together, if at all?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think if you look at Fiore specifically, Frank Giustra is one of our original founders, and Frank was also the founder of Hive Blockchain, one of the very, very successful cryptocurrency companies of last year. And so I think there's a recognition that the kind of investor that's attracted to the gold space also likes the cryptocurrency space a lot. And I think we're at the stage in the development of cryptocurrencies and the adoption of cryptocurrencies that we're going to see a whole lot of interesting ideas and interesting combinations come up over the next year to 2 years. I think like anything, any new ideas, a lot of these ideas are going to fail, but some of them are going to catch on. And I know from talking to people that there's some interesting ideas being floated, linking gold with cryptocurrencies. And again, I don't profess to be an expert on cryptocurrencies, but I do know that it's going to be an interesting year or two coming up. That's for sure.
I think so too. And the Fiore group, aren't you guys associated with the Hive blockchain?
Absolutely. It's okay. the same bunch of guys that put together Fiore Gold, put together Hive blockchain.
Okay. Did Fiore come first, or did Hive come first, or how are you guys associated with one another?
Yeah, so the background to this is Frank Giustra, who's a very, very well-known name in the resource space. He's been behind a number of companies, including the predecessor company to Goldcore. He helped put together Leia Gold, which is the sort of Endeavor Mining 2.0 vehicle. He's put together a number of really interesting companies, and Hive Bitcoin was a company that they put together probably 6 months ago. Now, Fiore Gold has been around for about a year and a half now. So I guess we came first in that regard. In fact, the CEO of Hive Blockchain is one of my former directors at Fiore. So there's a close working relationship there with all the major players.
Okay.
So it's clearly a group that has been very, very visionary in spotting the trends, both in what we think is going to be a rising gold market and the rise of the cryptocurrencies.
Do you think that we're going to see gold and or silver on the blockchain as far as people using that as currency or storing wealth, or how do you see that happening, or is that too far in the future?
I think it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what the eventual form is going to be. I think that we're going to see a kind of pervasive adoption of these, cryptocurrencies and the underlying blockchain technology in all facets of everything. Really, I think it's going to be, it's going to spread the way the internet is spread. But how it's all going to shake out, I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, fair enough. And I know that you guys have a target, a five-year goal there at Fiore Gold, that being able to produce 150,000 ounces annually. And how would you compare Fiore Gold to other companies that are producing 150,000 ounces a year?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I mean, if you look at our current market cap, we've got a market cap of about $65 million US. And that, based on our production and what we're guiding for production for fiscal year 2018, that values us somewhere around $1,500 an ounce EV EV dollars per ounce, or $1,700 market cap per production ounce, whatever statistic you want to use. And that kind of number stays about the same for companies until they hit about that 100,000 ounce mark. And then there's a real step change. And once you get over that 100,000 ounce mark and you start to get into the companies like Rox Gold or McEwen Mining or Dundee Precious Metals or Guyana Goldfields, they're all producing in that kind of 120 to 160,000 ounce range. Then you suddenly see that lift in the valuations in terms of a market cap per production ounce. And really what you're seeing is that for us to get there, we'd end up with about a 3 to 4 times increase in our gold production. But we'd be looking at somewhere around an 8 to 12 times increase in our per ounce valuation by the market. There's a real jump there at 100,000 ounces, because I think that's really where you start to hit that critical mass. And that's what we're aiming for. We want to be at that 150,000 ounce space. That's our kind of midterm goal, and then we'll continue to grow from there.
Now, you guys have you're currently mining in Nevada, is that right?
That's right.
And when do you guys plan on? What's your target as far as 2018, 2019 being in full production? Yeah,
so the story behind Fiore was that we bought some really interesting assets that people were a bit afraid of, because they basically put the predecessor company into bankruptcy trying to get this mine up and running. And a lot of people were scared of that mine. They thought there was something intrinsically wrong with it. But the guys that founded our company really looked at that and said, it wasn't the asset, it was the way it was being run, and it was the structure of the company that was trying to put it into production. So we bought those assets out of bankruptcy. We've now got that mine, the Pan mine, which is our main mine, up and running. It's producing, it's profitable, and we're going to continue to grow that. It's never going to be a huge mine. It's going to be maybe 50,000 ounces at its peak if we can get it up to that, and if things go well, which we expect them to. But right next door, we've got our Gold Rock project. That's a very, very large exploration project. It's going to be fully permitted by, at the latest, the middle of next year, and that's fully permitted for a mine build. And that federal permitting process in the U.S. is a long one. It can take 5, 7, 8, 10 years. And we'll have that done already. In fact, we'll have that done before we even have a preliminary economic assessment out. So we'll control the timeline to getting that Gold Rock property into production. And then, aside from that organic growth, we see a real opportunity for consolidation in the U.S., and particularly in Nevada, Arizona, California, that sort of southwest U.S. area. There's a lot of companies that have small mines that are, producing in that kind of 50 to 75,000 ounce range. They're single mine companies, and they don't make sense as a single mine company. I mean, Fiore doesn't make sense as a single mine company, which is why we want to drive this consolidation effort and start to bring together several of those small mines to get up to that 100 to 150,000 ounce production profile. And that's really, again, where you start to get those increased multiples on your valuation. You start to get a lot more efficient. We've got a great operating and production and development team that we put together, and now we want to let them loose on some of these assets that we think aren't being run as well as they could be, and also attach them to that great capital markets and marketing team at Fiore Management, the Frank Giustra and his colleagues.
Well, Tim, it sounds like a great plan, and I love the fact that you're looking at the smaller mining operations and bringing several of them together under one umbrella, being your umbrella, and to increase your overall production. I love that. That is a rock solid plan, in my opinion. No pun intended, but I love it. And just one last question, and I'll let you get back to your afternoon. And I certainly appreciate all the time that you've given me today. And this is a question that I like to ask people, and it's just about you, and this is for Tim Worman, and it has nothing to do with anything except you. And Tim, what is your definition of success?
I think it really comes down to, from a real personal perspective, you're being successful if you get up every morning and you're looking forward to what you're doing. You're having fun. And because if you're having fun, that means you're doing things right. It means you've got a goal that you're focused on. It means you're working towards it. It means you've built yourself a good team, so you like the people you're working with, and you like to go to work with them every day. And I think really, if you can do that, you're already 90% of the way to success. I think doesn't matter what you turn your mind to, but I think in our particular case, we're going to build a very successful mining company, and we're going to do a whole variety of things. We're going to create a lot of good jobs for people. We're going to create wealth for our investors, and most importantly, we're going to have fun doing it.
Having fun, I like that, and I like that. It's a great way of seeing success. It's really not about dollars and cents, because those tend to follow when you are having a good time, enjoy what you're doing, and love the people that you have surrounded yourself with. Otherwise, you should be doing something else.
Exactly.
Well, we've been speaking with the president and CEO of Fiore Gold, Mr. Tim Worman, and you can find out more about Fiore Gold at fioregold.com. And once again, their symbols on the Toronto Venture Exchange is simply F.V, and on the over-the-counter market, it's FIOGF. Tim, I certainly appreciate all your time today, and I look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Excellent. Enjoyed it very much. Thank you.